Welcome to the #1 channel for NBA betting picks and analysis on all the internet. We're less than a week away from the start of the regular season, so there's no better opportunity than now to get a bit of a head start and look at some futures bets. In this video, I'm going to do a Western Conference team preview, and I'm going to give you my predictions on each team's total team wins, over or under the numbers set by the books. There'll be 2 more videos, one for the Eastern Conference and one more with my picks for the individual awards: MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved Player, and so on. Links to those videos will be up on the end screen. Check them out. Now, before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. You will not, I repeat, you will not want to miss out on all the action. I do daily videos. You'll find some gems there. I'm going to turn you guys into some winners. Let's fucking go. I'm going to go in alphabetical order. Start off talking about the Dallas Mavericks. We're going to look at their offseason movement, acquisitions, players lost. Then I'm going to do analysis, see where I think the team is headed. Then we'll look at the number over here. We see it's set at 44.5 games. Will they go over? Will they go under? Let's break it down, take a look. Offseason movement. Over here we see the players lost on the left: Bertans, Bullock, Holiday, McGee, Dilakina, Christian Wood, the most important players. Some point in time during last season, they were rotation players. Reggie Bullock, probably the most important one. He started most of the games. Good shooter. He moved on. Looks like he signed with Houston. The players they picked up: Seth Curry. This looks like the second stint for Seth Curry on Dallas. Spot-up shooter. He should benefit a lot with the Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving handling the ball. They'll space the floor. He should get a lot of open looks. Good pickup, I think, over here with Seth Curry. Dante Exum, next Utah Jazz player. Was he in Cleveland? I don't remember. Last year he was in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. Good defender, very, very good defender. Can't shoot the ball worth shit. He's very bad on the perimeter, but he can defend, something that the Mavs will definitely need. Rashawn Holmes, another very good pickup. Like the saying goes, the slogan goes, one man's trash is another man's treasure. He kind of fell out with the team in Sacramento. Mark Cuban is very high on this guy. He thinks he will be the surprise for the team, and I like this guy. I like this player, Rashawn Holmes. Very athletic, big, can score the ball, block shots, very energetic. I think a very good player to have on the team. Derek Jones, another athletic big. We know how high he can get. Dunk champ, can rebound, block shots, run the floor. They also picked up a couple first-round picks over here. We know the Mavs didn't make the playoffs last year. And the best pickup, Grant Williams over here from the Celtics. He can shoot the perimeter, the shot. He can hit threes from the corner. Also a very, very good defender. Very vocal, big body. I think he'll fit very, very well in the ball club. Over here we see the players that re-signed. I think overall the Mavs will be improved. Now, if we don't have any kind of freak injuries or any drama, weird stuff taking place, we know Kyrie Irving at times can be very controversial. And as you can see over here, guys, on Twitter, you'll see what I mean. This is just a post from a few days ago. We know with the whole conflict taking place in Israel and Palestine, he was over here. This is obviously an anti-Israel tweet. You never know. He might upset the wrong people, find himself suspended once again. You never know with Kyrie Irving. Always dangerous, but as of now, if things play out and nothing happens, I think the Mavs can surpass his 44.5 win total, hit 45 games, 45 wins plus. I have them over here with over 44.5. Next up, Denver Nuggets, the defending champs. We see their number over here set at 52.5. Let's take a look at the offseason movement, see which players they lost, which players they picked up. Lots of important stuff over here for Denver. They lost Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, 2 very important pieces in the rotation. Last year's championship run, especially Bruce Brown, played out of his mind in the playoffs, got a big contract, got paid. I think 2 years, something like $50 million. He's going to be making like $25 million a year. I think he was making $5 million in Denver, so he pretty much 5 times that. Jeff Green got a big contract. Uncle Jeff, the veteran, he signed at Houston, so he's gone. And over here to the right, guys, we see the players that they added. Justin Holiday, I know who this guy is, but if any of you can tell me who the rest of these motherfuckers are, I don't know any of these players. None of them. Tony, Strother, Pickett. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Now, if something comes out of that, we'll see. But we see from the bench, the only players over here, they re-signed Reggie Jackson, DeAndre Jordan. They were out of the rotation in the playoffs. If they're going to be looking for these two players to fill the void of Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, the Nuggets are going to struggle. Plus, guys, they could have a bit of a championship hangover. Teams are also going to be targeting them. They're going to be looking at them on the schedule. They always go after the defending champs. And over here, we see this 52.5 wins. I think is extremely high. I think they're going to go under this number, guys, under 52.5. Denver, for sure, in my opinion, is going to be hunting for some free agents. During the trade deadline, they'll probably be getting busy. We see last season also, take a look over here at the standings. They won 53 games. I don't think they're going to surpass that. And on the road, most importantly, you see they were 19-22 with a weakened roster. Expect this to get worse this season. I think Denver is going to drop off. This 52.5 under should hit easily. They do have one of the top starting fives in the league. Possibly, I think behind Boston probably. Boston probably has the best starting five. They're close second with Milwaukee. But beyond that, guys, it doesn't look very good for the Nuggets. Under 52.5 is my prediction for Denver. Golden State Warriors up next. They made a very significant move in the offseason. We're going to check that out right now. The number is set at 48.5 games. Let's look at the offseason movement first, and then we'll get into our analysis and our pick for the Warriors. And the most important move, guys, let's just go right to it. Jordan Poole pretty much got traded for Chris Paul. The Warriors, for some reason, felt comfortable trading away the future of their ball club. Jordan Poole, he signed a very big contract a couple of seasons ago. The Warriors gave up on him very quickly, I think. Picked up Chris Paul, 39, 40-year-old veteran in his place. I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure out that this is definitely a downgrade. Dante DiVincenzo, another player, he moved over to the Knicks. Rotation player, was good for the Warriors for the majority of the season. Everything else, nothing very significant. They picked up Rudy Gay, another veteran big. They got older. Just look at Chris Paul, Rudy Gay. Veterans with experience, but older guys. A lot older. And they gave up their future with Jordan Poole. I think Mike Dunleavy Jr., he's the GM now for the Warriors. I think made some bad moves. They re-signed Draymond Green. He got $100 million. I don't know how the fuck this player keeps getting contracts like this. But good for him. If he can get that money, good for him. The Warriors, guys, we see 48.5 games. I think they're going to be significantly worse. They were 11-30 on the road last year. Fade material. I think this season as well, we're going to be picking them in a lot of spots to fade. They were one of the best home teams, though, at 33-8. I think it's going to be worse. 48.5 is very high. They won 44 last season. 48.5 this season. I think this is going to be an easy fade under 48.5. I think the Warriors are going to struggle. Next up, the Houston Rockets, the laughingstock of the NBA the last couple of seasons, an absolute train wreck, a team that was supposedly in rebuilding mode, did anything but rebuild. They had a bunch of young players, but their coach, Steven Silas, could not get a handle of the team. Everyone was just so undisciplined. On multiple occasions, I remember watching their games. They'd be down, they'd be losing, and they'd be giggling and laughing coming off the court after a loss. They won 22 games without tanking. That's just how bad they were. They got rid of Steven Silas. They made some offseason moves. Let's take a look at them. Significant moves. Over here, as far as player personnel goes, what they lost. Kevin Porter Jr., allegedly, he beat the shit out of his girlfriend, his wife, something like that. He got traded away and then got released from Oklahoma City. So not really too much to look at for the players that left. Now, the acquisitions, very important. First and foremost, they picked up Ime Udoka. Ime Udoka, the ex-coach of the Celtics, that was in some kind of sexual assault type of deal over there. He got let go from Boston. Big mistake, I think, for the Celtics. If he would have stayed on, they probably would have got a championship. The Houston Rockets, I think, got really lucky to pick him up. An alpha, definitely an alpha. I think he will earn the respect from the young players and the new players. Some experienced veterans like Dylan Brooks, very good pickup. He signed for $80 million, 4 years. Good pickup, I think, for Houston. They need a player like this is valuable on every team. You need someone that just doesn't give a fuck, will defend, will hit the open shot, and just throw his body out there and just not care. Reggie Bullock, a good shooter. Jeff Green, Uncle Jeff, won the championship last year with Denver. Very good pickup. And over here, Fred VanVleet, the leader of the Toronto Raptors, signed a huge deal with Toronto. What do all these players have in common? They are players with balls. Some real alphas. I think this will do very good for the Houston Rockets. The young players that they picked up from all the draft picks that they had and mesh them with some of these veterans and a no bullshit coach. I think the Rockets will improve, but I think it will take time. We see the number here is at 31.5. I don't know if they surpass that. I'm going to say they don't in their first season together. I think the year after they could improve and possibly hit a playoff spot. But for now, 31.5 games does look like a bit too many for Houston. It's going to take some time. I think they go under. Up next, the LA Clippers. This is probably going to be a very, very short one in the offseason. They didn't make too many moves. Over here we see Eric Gordon got waived and they picked up KJ Martin. These are the two players worth mentioning for the Clippers in the offseason. What's interesting here, guys, with the Clippers, the league actually made a load management rule because of what they were doing last year with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, how they kept moving them in and out of the lineups, load management. The league put a rule in place where they have to at least, they can only rest one player at a time. This was obviously directed towards the Clippers. They overdid it. This year, looks like they are coming in healthy, which is very important. In the preseason, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, everyone was in the lineup. I think one thing, though, we do need to keep note of is that the Clippers are going to be going into a new arena next season. So I think their billionaire owner is probably going to hold back this season. We can see the lack of movement probably has to do with the whole arena situation. I think he's going to go with what they have this year. And in the offseason, he's probably going to try to make a splash, get some big-time names coming in. But this year, guys are going to go with what they had last season. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, like I mentioned, very injury-prone, the two stars of the team. Russell Westbrook was a pleasant surprise in the playoffs last year. He played very well. Looks like he's going to be running the point. The Clippers, 46.5 games. If they're healthy, they could easily surpass that number, but there's always a but with the Clippers. Just for the simple fact that they are one of the older ball clubs, a veteran ball club, and like I said, they're still going to do their load management. There's no way they're going to risk their players. They're going to be a team built for the playoffs, always looking to go deep. So 46.5 looks a little high to me. I'm going to be going under the number here. 46.5 is my prediction for the Clippers. The Los Angeles Lakers, a team that made it to the conference finals last year, was very busy in the offseason. Lots of player movement, players in, players out. I think they did improve. Let's take a look more specifically at what they did. Malik Beasley, a player that was in the rotation earlier in the season, moved on. He went to Milwaukee. Over here we see Dennis Schroeder, the most important player, I think, out of the players that were on the roster last season and this year are not. He moved to Toronto, got a better contract. Lonnie Walker, the first half of the season, was a very valuable player to the team, put up some good minutes, but fell out of the rotation in the latter part of the season. He moved on to Brooklyn. Out of the players that they added, very important players, very good players. Jackson Hayes, an athletic big from the Pelicans, moved in. He should give him some good minutes off the bench. Taurean Prince, the veteran wing player, can shoot the three. An important player from Minnesota, good pickup. Gabe Vincent was very vital to the Miami Heat run to the finals. Probably the best player that they picked up in the offseason, along with Christian Wood. Can put up some points. Not much on defense, but a big that can give some quality minutes. They re-signed Anthony Davis to, I think, the richest contract in league history. Austin Reeves also re-signed, had a great year. D'Angelo Russell, Vanderbilt. The LA Lakers, guys, are one of the deepest teams in the league. They started off their season last year very shitty, but came on in the second half. After the trade deadline, they made some good moves. They added to an already deep roster. I expect the Lakers to be one of the better teams in the regular season. Of course, LeBron now is up there in age, close to 40 years old. Anthony Davis, though, superstar, a bit injury prone. That is my only concern with the Lakers, is that, of course, they do have a lot of depth, which is very important. But at the top, they don't have too much superstar power. It's Anthony Davis and an aging LeBron James. I don't know if that'll be enough to get them over the hump in the playoffs, to go to the finals and go all the way. But for the regular season, they look like a team that is built for the regular season. They have a lot of depth, a lot of quality players. This 47.5 wins does look a little high, but I think they can surpass that and go 50 plus to be one of the top teams in the West and in the whole league. I'm going to go over 47.5. I'm very confident that the Lakers will surpass this number. 47.5. They should get it easily. Last year, guys, they won 43 games. And that was after a very, very poor start. 50 plus, I think, for the Lakers should be a go. Up next, the Memphis Grizzlies, one of the most intriguing teams in the league, in my opinion. They made a couple of significant moves in the offseason. In the backcourt, over here we see Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks moved over, went to the Houston Rockets as a free agent. Tyus Jones, the backup point guard. I really like this player. He moved along, but they added Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart, guys, I think was the biggest move, one of the biggest moves in the offseason in all of the NBA. Not too many people are talking about this move. The heart and soul of the Celtics, according to a lot of the players from Boston, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, a lot of these players from Boston were talking about how Marcus Smart was the heart and soul of the team. This should be a great addition to the Grizzlies. And the veteran Derrick Rose, it seems like he's been in the league forever, but I think he's in his early 30s. Still has some in the tank. I think at the backup position, he should be able to hold it down, along with Marcus Smart, until John Morant gets back. We know John Morant has been suspended for 25 games. He's locked up in the cage for 25 games, pulling out the gun in the Instagram Live. Crazy ass guy. I think the reason why they offloaded Dillon Brooks is the management probably does want to ease things down a little bit. The Grizzlies, guys, are one of the most stacked rosters, in my opinion. They have very good bigs. They have a bench. They have a star in John Morant. They have shooting. Now they added Marcus Smart. Defensive prowess, experience. Like we said, the heart and soul of the Celtics is now on the Grizzlies. They have tremendous coaching. The Grizzlies, guys, in my opinion, was the front runner to come out of the West. I know it's not a favorite amongst a lot of pundits. Not too many people are talking about Memphis. But I think when John Morant gets out of his suspension, he's going to be fresh. That's 25 games, which means he's going to be left with around 55 games or so, 57 games, a short season. He should be energized, ready to go. I expect the Memphis Grizzlies, if they stay healthy, to do a shitload of damage this year. Regular season, last couple of years, they've been great at home. The top team in the league, 35-6. I expect them to hold on, to hold things down while John Morant is out, and I expect big things out of the Grizzlies. One of my two favorites to come out of the West, them and the Phoenix Suns. We'll talk about the Phoenix Suns a little later. I think they can soar above this 45.5 a game win total. Like I said, they're one of the top teams in the league at home. Just fine on the road. Marcus Smart, big addition. If they stay healthy, they should do a lot of damage. Memphis over 45.5. Up next, the Minnesota Timberwolves, one of the most promising and upcoming teams in the NBA, in my opinion. Books tend to agree. Look at this number, guys. 45.5 games. Pretty high number for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's break it down. Look at their offseason, see what they did. Front office must be very happy with the roster. We can see very limited movement. Taurean Prince, a rotation player, got waived. He went on to sign with the LA Lakers. Out of the players that they picked up, the most notable one, Shake Milton, backup perimeter player, should crack the rotation, get some minutes. The team focused more, as we can see here, on re-signing the players that they already had, extending Anthony Edwards. Naz Reid, a very good extension. A lot of pundits talking about how they overpaid for Reid. Personally, I think they underpaid him. Very quality big man. He'd start for the majority of the teams in the NBA. The only reason he's coming off the pine is because he's playing behind Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, two of the best big men in the NBA, arguably the best front line in the NBA, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like I said, an upcoming and promising team. Remember, guys, the Timberwolves lost in the first round of the playoffs last year, 4-1 to the Denver Nuggets, but the series was a lot more competitive than the 4-1 final score indicates. Jamal Murray talked about this after the championship run for the Nuggets. He said their toughest opponent in the postseason were the Minnesota Timberwolves. Remember, almost all the games were very competitive. Despite Minnesota playing in that series without Naz Reid and without Jaden McDaniels, two players very important in their rotation, and they were still very competitive, gave the Nuggets a run for the money despite the 4-1 final count in the series. I expect the Minnesota Timberwolves guys to surprise a lot of people this year, stack up a lot of wins if they stay healthy. We know Karl Anthony Towns missed the majority of last season. 45.5 games is the number. Last year they won 42. I think they can easily surpass this number. I know it looks a little tough, but I think the number is up there for a reason. I'm going to go over 45.5. I think they surprise a lot of people this year, get a lot of W's, rack up a lot of W's, and possibly go deep in the postseason. I like Minnesota here, 45.5 over. Up next, the New Orleans Pelicans. Let's take a look at what they did in the offseason with player personnel in and out. Then we will preview what we can expect out of the team this season. Over here we can see 4 players. They lost 4 players: Jackson Hayes, Willie Hernan-Gomez, Josh Richardson, Garrett Temple. 4 players that were in and out of the rotation last year. They will not be on the roster this season. Out of the players they picked up, I don't see anything significant. Cody Zeller should get some time behind Jonas Valanciunas. Cody Zeller should crack the rotation and get some time. Now, the New Orleans Pelicans guys reports, and from the preseason we can see Zion Williamson got healthy. He's done banging his hookers. Looks like he's settled down. He's matured. He's taken his career seriously. He's back on the court. Brandon Ingram played in the summer with Team USA. Is healthy, ready to go. CJ McCollum, the pickup that they got from the Blazers. This is going to be the first time that they're really going to have all 3 players in. They're going to give this trio a shot, and why not? Very quality players. Last year, the Pelicans, they nearly made the playoffs. They made the play-in tournament after a late flurry. They got some wins together, picked up the 10th spot, got eliminated though in the play-in tournament. They won 42 games. They went 42-40. This year we see the numbers at 44.5 with all the players, the big 3 healthy. If they can stay healthy and play the season out, 44.5 looks doable. I'm going to say over. I think the over has a good shot, 44.5. Of course, it is fragile because you never know with Zion. Brandon Ingram, like I said, injury prone. 44.5 though, with the facts that we have right now, looks like he has a good shot at coming through. The young and promising Oklahoma City Thunder look like they are ready to make their move this season, and from the rebuilding phase to come into a phase of contending for a playoff spot. They got very close last season. Will they do it this year? Let's take a look at what they did in the offseason. Sam Presti, the mastermind behind this whole project, looks like he's very happy with what he has on his roster. As you can see on the offseason, not much movement. Didn't really lose anybody. They picked up Davis Bertans, the 7-footer that shoots a ton of threes. Could get some minutes out of the rotation. Definitely won't be starting, but should get some time off the bench. Everyone else intact. The big news for the Oklahoma City Thunder, they will be getting their number 1 draft pick from last season, Chet Holmgren, 7-footer, 7'2", big man that plays on the perimeter, very good ball player. He should really, really help them out. I expect the Thunder guys to do a ton of damage this season. Last year they won 42 games, came very close to making the playoffs. This year, 44.5, the books give us the 44.5 number. I think they're ready to make that extra step, win more than 45 games, even though A lot of teams will be expecting him this season. They did kind of creep up and surprise a lot of teams last year. This year, they won't have that element of surprise, but the quality of the team is very high. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, one of the top players in the league, averaged over 30 a game. Chet Holmgren, they got size, they got energetic young legs, very good at home, good on the road. Overall, I think they're ready to make the next step, win more than 45 games, and make the playoffs this season. I like the Oklahoma City Thunder over 44.5 wins. Up next, the Phoenix Suns. Holy fuck. So much to unpack here, guys. Look at the offseason. Just look at the list of players in and out. Absolutely wild. DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, the starting center and the starting point guard for the Phoenix Suns team that went to the finals just a couple of years ago against the Bucks. Not on the team anymore. The team resembles nothing the team that made it to the finals. I think Devin Booker is the only player remaining from that roster. Matt Ishbia, the new owner, came in, guns blazing. He completely overhauled the roster. Picked up Kevin Durant last year during the trade deadline. In the offseason over here, we see picked up Bradley Beal. Grayson Allen was another great pickup. To be honest, guys, when the Bradley Beal trade went down, I wasn't too high on the Phoenix Suns. I thought they were very top heavy, wouldn't have enough depth. But once they traded away DeAndre Ayton, they filled in some gaps. Grayson Allen, a great pickup. We see Bates Diop, he should help a little bit. Bol, some size. Don't know if he'll crack the rotation, but in the regular season, he will give him some minutes. Eric Gordon, some shooting. Nasir Little, good pickup. Chimezi Medu, a big that should give him a lot of help. And Yusuf Nurkic will start at the 5. Low maintenance big, doesn't really demand the ball. He's not going to expect any place to get run for him. He'll have to settle for setting screens, getting some rebounds. I don't think he'll have any trouble with that, any problems with that. Whereas DeAndre Ayton was more high maintenance. The reason they traded him away, he went to Portland. He'll be able to get his touches, something that he would not have gotten on this Phoenix Suns team with Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal pretty much having the ball in their hands the majority of the time. The Phoenix Suns, guys, in my opinion, even though this is a completely new roster and it might take a little bit of time at the beginning of the season for them to get the chemistry together, I think this is the favorite to come out of the West. Them and Memphis, I think it's going to be between these two teams. Phoenix, 51.5 games. We see the books giving the number. Personally, I think they can surpass that number. The firepower is just too much on this ball club. I have them over 51.5. I think they'll finish the regular season with the best record in the NBA. Tops in the Western Conference also. The Phoenix Suns, one of the favorites to go all the way. Up next, the Portland Trailblazers. Dame time no longer in Portland, guys. He demanded a trade. The writing was on the wall. He saw it. The team was going into rebuilding mode. They had a very bad season, missed the playoffs. He demanded a trade, got moved to the contending Milwaukee Bucks. Good for him. Now, let's take a look at overall the player movement. As you can see, the list is long for the players that left the team and the players that joined. Now, I don't know who the general manager of the team is, guys. I don't know his name, but I got to tip my hat to him. He got a shit ton in return for Damian Lillard, DeAndre Ayton, Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams, and 3 first-round draft picks. Not too shabby at all. Of course, Damian Lillard, superstar player, but that is a very, very good return. He handled the process very, very well. I tip my hat to the general manager, whoever you are. Now, they also picked up the number 3 pick in the draft, Scoot Henderson, who in my opinion is the most NBA ready out of all the players coming in, more than Victor Wembanyama. Scoot Henderson played in the G League last year. He is very young. I think he's 19, going to be turning 20 in a couple months. He showed very, very good signs in the preseason that he is NBA ready. Personally, I think he does have a good shot of winning the Rookie of the Year. I'm going to talk about this in my individual awards video that I will be doing. And Portland overall is in rebuilding mode right now. I think the process will be smooth. They did pick up quite a few talented veteran players, important pieces. They do have Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant from last year's roster, 2 very quality players. I think the rebuilding process will be smooth. The total over here we see is at 28.5 games listed by the books. Personally, I think they will not be as bad as everyone expects. I have Portland going over the number, over the 28.5. I think they could win 30 games. Do I think they'll make the playoffs? No, but they will be very competitive, very energetic. I think they will do some damage when we least expect. We're going to keep an eye on them on our daily videos. I think they will provide with some pretty good value. Portland, 28.5 is over 28.5 is my prediction for the Portland Trailblazers. Up next, the Sacramento Kings. Arguably the biggest surprise in last year's regular season. The Sacramento Kings put up 48 wins. I don't think too many people expected this, but Mike Brown did a fantastic job, a phenomenal job with the Sacramento Kings. They played a very entertaining brand of basketball, very up-tempo, shooting a lot of threes, layups, playing at a very, very fast pace. Now, the slogan, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, applies to the Sacramento Kings. We're going to take a look at what their offseason movement looked like. Very, very limited. Didn't see too much. Terrence Davis, Matt Dellavedova, Rashawn Holmes. He moved to Dallas. Metu went to Phoenix. These are the teams that the players that will not be on the roster this season. They picked up Chris Duarte. He should fit into their style of play. He should get some minutes off the bench. And what we see here, JaVale McGee, they did need some size and upgrade at the backup center position for Domantas Sabonis. They had Alex Len. JaVale McGee, I think, is a better player. He will get the minutes. I think Alex Len will become the third stringer. They also picked up the EuroLeague MVP, Sasha Vezenkov. He played for Olympiacos last year in Greece, the MVP of the EuroLeague. The first signs are not very good for this player. Mike Brown says that he is struggling defensively, doesn't know if he'll be able to crack the rotation. He's a good shooter, good pickup. It'll probably take him some time. The game is a lot different here in the NBA than it is in Europe. If he can adjust, he'll be able to crack the rotation, get in. He's a very, very good shooter. Kind of poor on defense. We'll have to monitor his situation right there. Other than that, not much moving for the Sacramento Kings. Like I said, they did win 48 games last year. The books have this at 44.5 this season. Of course, the teams, the upper echelon teams in each conference have improved. I think the reason for this drop off in the number from the books, they're kind of telling us that they don't expect a similar season. I tend to agree with that. I think it'll be very close to this number, to the 44. I think they will end up getting less than the 44.5, win less than 45 games. It's going to be very close, I think, but expect another good season from Sacramento. They might have their minds a little more, they might focus a little more towards the postseason, kind of not go too crazy during the regular season. I think the under 44.5 here is the correct play for the Sacramento Kings, even though I do expect another very good season from Sacramento. Up next, we got the San Antonio Spurs. Boy, do I fucking hate the San Antonio Spurs, guys. Why do I hate the San Antonio Spurs? I hate the San Antonio Spurs and any other team that did what they did last season, and that was tank. They were tanking pretty much from start to finish. Of course, I understand they were in rebuilding mode. Coach Popovich wanted to give his young guys an opportunity to play, but you could see it. Some of the games that they could have got W's, he held them back. They wanted the least amount of wins possible and the highest chances to land the number one pick. And that is what happened, guys. After 20 some odd years, when something similar happened in the Tim Duncan sweepstakes back then, the Spurs landed Tim Duncan, a franchise player. Now, history repeated itself. They picked up Victor Wembanyama. In other words, they got rewarded for their tanking. Victor Wembanyama, 7'5", versatile big man, top pick in the draft. A lot of pundits very high on this guy, calling him the top prospect since LeBron James. I don't know. Sounds a little bit hyperbole in my opinion. It's yet to be seen. 7'5". Will he be durable enough? Will he be able to handle the physicality of the NBA? That is yet to be seen. We know players that play on the perimeter at his height, such as Kristaps Porzingis, 7'3", plays on the perimeter. The skill set definitely is not as high as it is with Wembanyama. Chet Holmgren, we know he was injured all of last season. These players, these very, very tall players that play on the perimeter, are very injury prone. I hope this is not going to be the case with Victor Wembanyama. He does look like a really good kid and definitely very, very talented. Coach Popovich, got a 5-year extension. This old guy will not go away. He's going to stay there until the end of time. 5-year extension. He will be with the team in this rebuilding process. He thinks maybe in that 5-year span, maybe he can create a team that could compete for a championship once again. That's yet to be seen if that'll happen. Devin Vassell got a huge extension, 5 years, 150 million. He's making 30 per. The contracts, some of these contracts are very crazy this year, guys. I gotta admit, they're handing out contracts with big money left and right. Good for him. If he can get paid, good for him, man. Anybody that can get that money, take it. Over here we see the books, 29.5 games. The Spurs won 22 games with tanking, of course. Logic says that tally will increase. Victor Wembanyama should help. Are they 8 games better than they were last season? I'm not convinced. I think the number is still a little high. I don't think they're going to crack 30. My pick for the San Antonio Spurs, under 29.5 wins. This is what I like for the Spurs, under 29.5. And last but not least, we got the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz, a team that didn't make too much noise in the offseason, as we can see here. Players lost. Rudy Gay, the veteran, he moved on, signed with the Golden State Warriors. Other than that, nothing very worth noting over here. The players picked up John Collins, very good pickup from the Atlanta Hawks, a very athletic big, can shoot the ball, should fit in nicely to the Utah Jazz, a team that is extremely well coached, have a lot of very good players, not too much superstar power. I guess you could say the best player on the team is Lauri Markkanen, and some other very, very good pieces surrounding him. They had a very good season, overachieved last year. It was a rebuilding season, but they performed very well. Danny Ainge doing a great job. He's being very patient, waiting for the right time to find the right free agents available. He's not rushing things. Looks like he's willing to go another season without going too crazy on a spending spree. Utah, I don't know what their cap space is like, but I'm sure they're doing okay. We'll have enough room in case the right opportunity pops up. Other than that, not much really to talk about over here. Utah should have another stellar season. They won 37 games last year. Towards the end of the year, they did kind of hold back. It looks like they want to make the playoffs, get a couple more draft picks. We'll have to see how their rookies perform. 37 wins last year. Over here, we have them at 35.5. Guys, I think they will fall a bit short, go under this number. And the reason being, of course, since they are going to be improved. But like I mentioned in one of the other analysis I was doing with one of the previous teams, the upper echelon teams in each conference look to have improved significantly. It will be tough, a little tougher for them to get some wins that they got last year. I think they're going to fall just short of this 35.5. I do expect them to win over 30. It will be close, probably around 33, 32, 33 wins, I think is what Utah will end up with at the end of this season. Utah under 35.5 is my prediction for the Utah Jazz. And this is what I think the standings are going to look like, give or take, by the end of the regular season. I think things are going to be a little more clear-cut than they were last season. The Western Conference was very competitive. In the latter part of the season, teams were battling for playoff positioning. It was very competitive. A lot of teams winning over 40 games. I think things this year are going to be a little more clear-cut. I think the upper echelon teams are going to separate themselves from the lower echelon teams. Things will be a little more clear-cut. I think this is what the standings are going to look like. Now, I could be wrong. Tell me your thoughts in the comments, where you agree, where you disagree. If you agree, if you think I'm full of shit, let me know in the comments. I'm very interested to know what you guys think. I also will have the 2 videos for the Eastern Conference. Also, the individual awards here on the end screen. Check those out. Future bets, guys. The regular season, like I said, is just around the corner, less than a week away, where the real action begins. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Daily videos are going to be off the charts this year, guys. I'm going to do 2 videos. The second video is going to be with my best bets. I'm going to be doing them about an hour before tip-off. My best bets every day, 2 videos a day. So make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell. See you guys in the next video.